Welcome to the Trill MBA Show. I'm your host, Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, aka the Trillest MBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Happy Sunday, everybody. This is season 6, the year of paid and promoted. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to dig into the steps you need to take to get promoted. Starting with the previous episode 4, actually, I'm breaking down the P.I.E model for success, career success, that is. And I'm going to explain how to think through creating and executing your promotion plan. But first, Corporate Warrior Spotlight. Today's Corporate Warrior is A.J. Barkley, SVP Neighborhood Lending Executive, Consumer Lending at Bank of America. Now, I want to take an ADD side note pause for a second. Last episode, I had put Bank of America on blast. So it's quite funny when I was looking at my planned sheet of Corporate Warrior executives to spotlight. And this happened to be the one for this episode. And I was like, the irony. God got jokes. But the crazy thing is, A.J. Barkley is a complete badass who is helping to build bridges between Bank of America and the community by identifying successful home ownership opportunities for low to moderate income borrowers, multicultural borrowers, and underserved communities. So the craziest thing is she runs the bank's Community Reinvestment Act, commitment and fair lending laws and regulations. Like that whole CRA, that's her. Now, prior to joining neighborhood lending at Bank of America, AJ held many roles there, but in addition, she was the production executive for the Plano Centralized and Online Consumer Lending Sales Division, where she led more than 140 lending officers. That's a lot. And had national responsibility for employee lending, training redesign, and employee engagement. She also was the Merrill Lynch Associate Market Executive in Global Wealth Investments Management in Dallas, Texas. In addition, she held multiple roles in consumer banking, most recently as the area executive for the DFW Metro Market. Shout out Dallas, which totals more than 140 financial centers. Ooh, I'm tired for her. So listen, AJ is a native of Temple Hills, Maryland. She is a graduate of Morgan State University. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in marketing and is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Shout out to all my homegirls that are Deltas. AJ is the co-executive sponsor of the Black Professional Group of North Texas and is active in multiple employee networks. She is committed to supporting the community and serves on the nonprofit board for Minnie's Food Pantry. Her passion is supporting organizations that empower and improve opportunities for children and young adults. AJ and her husband have 2 sons, 3 daughters, and 4 grandchildren. Whoo, child. So you got home, you got work, you got sorors, you got family, friends, community. I hope, AJ, that you do some self-care as well. And I know you do, because listen, sis skin is glowing. She looks like God's abundance. Listen, I don't know, AJ, but cheers to you, AJ, for holding it down for our community, even with Bank of America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to Career Church, and we have our good book, Empowering Yourself, The Organizational Game Revealed by Harvey J. Coleman. That is our career Bible that we're studying today. This is the second edition, okay? So this is where we going today in Career Church that we having about getting paid and promoted, in the gospel of paid and promoted. And so in this book, we are in chapter 5, and we are in the verse of exposure, okay? And so today, the text focus on E, and E in the P.I.E model, and the E stands for exposure. And anybody who grew up in a Southern Baptist church, Pentecostal, Church of God, you feel me on this. But I'm going to read a little bit from the text today, because Pastor Coleman, let me tell you what he says about exposure, okay? So, simply put, exposure is visibility in a positive way. Mr. Coleman says, our ability to become visible in a positive way and influence others who can help us reach our goals is one of the keys to this game. And what he's talking about when he says this game, it is the game of business. It is the game of career. It is the shenanigans that this podcast talks about, right? So now listen. In the P.I.E model, exposure represents 60% of the equation for success. In this good book, Mr. Coleman says, it is extremely important to gain, maintain, and enhance personal visibility and exposure. I'm going to say that one more time. It is extremely important to gain, maintain, and enhance personal visibility and exposure. So how can you raise your self-awareness around your level of exposure? That's what I want to talk about today in the good book, in Empowering Yourself by Harvey J. Coleman. He says, the report card on your ability to perform in the exposure arena usually is determined in personal and family critical situations. Huh? I know, right? Because it's like, what you about to talk about? I thought we were talking about business. Oh, but listen to what my man says. For example, if you have just lost your job, I have been there, amen. Do you have to fill out 10 applications for employment and mail them to strangers who know nothing about you? Or can you call up 2 friends of yours with hiring authority and get employment without going through all of the administrative red tape normally connected with hiring? Ooh, listen. I know some of y'all like mail in the application. Okay, understand, y'all. Understand. Pastor Coleman here, he grew up in like old school IBM in like the 70s and the 80s, y'all. So you gotta understand this book. Let me see. What year? Was it anywhere near the year Beyonce? Look, the first published in 2010. Y'all, now, I know it said mail. Don't get caught. Just think email. That's what. I'm just going to translate for Papa right here, okay? He got it. Listen to me. This is like reading the Bible, okay? So this man just said, the way you know that you have the right level of exposure is basically, if you need something, can you pick up the phone and call some people and they make shit happen for you? If you got kids, can you pick up the phone and call some people and make shit happen for your kids? If you can't, you got to think about some things, because you ain't got the exposure in your career that you need.
Damn.
I know. Because realistically, how many of us can just pick up the phone and get a job? Now, I will say, as I've grown in my career, I am in a position to help more, but I'm also in a position where, I got some hitters that I know and they my ride or dies, right? But I realized I still need to get more exposure, because exposure is not just about you helping yourself, but exposure is about you being able to help others. And we got. So we all need to up our exposure. All right. That's all great, Felicia. We heard you get more exposure. But how do we gain exposure? I got y'all after the break. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Felicia here. So I'm doing this whole series about how you become a rock star at work, how you manage your career to get promoted, because that is what we are all about at the Trill and BA Show, right? So check it. If you are a member of my Patreon, I know y'all probably ain't really heard from me. I love y'all. Y'all are the shit. I got something special for y'all. So if you are a member of Patreon before April 1st, in April, we are going to have some very special sessions, live sessions with me, where I break down how to use exposure to gain sponsorship. And I'll be there live to answer your questions. So head on over to the Patreon. The link is in the show notes, and sign up to hang out with me in April and get your career questions answered and get promoted. Get these bags, get promoted. All right, back to the show. All right, so how do we get exposure? Back to the good book. All right, this chapter 5, y'all. Chapter 5 is deep. I gotta do some real deep dive work on this, because it's a lot to unpack as he lays out, his thought process for thinking through the game. And I mean, he ain't wrong, y'all. This book ain't lie. It's just, how do I take this and translate it for 2022, right? So this is one of those things. So I'm going to run through what he gives as suggestions, Mr. Harvey J. Coleman. And I'm talking about the book, Empowering Yourself, The Organizational Game Revealed. So Mr. Coleman gives some examples, but he says, hey, this ain't exhaustive, right? This is not all inclusive. But he says, some things you can do to get exposure. You can volunteer for internal projects. You can assume more responsibility within a specific job function. You can get involved in the community. You can become active in board service. You can participate in company-sponsored activities. I know, I felt that groan. I felt it from everybody. I heard it in my spirit, because, we don't like to force fun. We don't. But listen, gotta play the game. He also says you can keep abreast of current state-of-the-art techniques, which I think is hilarious, because I don't know if we use that phrasing now, state-of-the-art. I love it. I love this whole book. He says you can visibly demonstrate a team player attitude. I think this is the most important one of these that he mentions. And I think by far it's probably the easiest to do. And the double click on this one is that he says this includes adherence to dress codes, behavior dictates, peer associations, execution of skills, display of initiative, and loyalty to the company. So when I give the advice, when I tell you guys, I said, walk around, be very positive, I love it here. I love it here. This is great. And pay attention to your surroundings and what, people are doing. That's what he's saying. Behavior dictates. So unfortunately, if everybody is going into the office, guess what? And I mean, if all the senior leaders are going in the office and, they telling you need to come in office, guess what? You're going to need to go into the office. I know. I think that's bullshit too, but I mean, here we are trying to get promoted, right? And then the last one he lists, he says, be willing to learn new skills and experience different situations. And this one's important too. And again, more in your power and control. In some cases, these activities will highlight areas needing further development. Don't be afraid to learn. People who are successful continually grow. So this list, there's way more. He does do double clicks on all those, but like, there's some caveats, y'all. So like this volunteer for internal projects, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't do the black shit at work. And I know a lot of people are probably like, Felicia, how could you say that? We gotta do it. They look at us, we need to do it. No, actually, we don't need to do it. And let me define the black shit at work. So the black shit at work is the African American Resource Group, the Black History Month programming, the MLK Day breakfast shit. You know, all those big things that takes a lot of work and is like a second job and just is a lot. And sometimes it really does come with a lot of, I call it faux visibility, because you're not driving business results with the black shit at work. And so nobody really cares. Like they'll pat you on your head. This is the pat you on your head shit. So when you're looking at volunteer for internal project, he's not talking about the pat you on your head projects, which is the black shit at work. What he's talking about is like, you know, a project that drives revenue that like helps you get close to senior leaders and lets you get to know them better and build relationships. That's what he's talking about. Okay. So don't get caught up with, because, you know, they be trying to hype you up. Oh my God, this is such a great opportunity if you do the Black History Month because, like, you know, the senior leaders, they really blah, 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 blah. Oh, if y'all could see my face right now. Because let me tell y'all, don't tell nobody this, but the senior leaders be full of shit. Okay, that's between us.
Blood hell.
All right, now, back to the good book. So one of the things that I want you to pay attention to in this exposure section of the book, Mr. Coleman notes, in order for any skill to be useful, each individual must determine career and lifestyle objectives and then decide whether the process for achieving them is worth the effort. Remember, before you reach the top, a great deal of effort will be required. Business is a game with a set of rules. Moves are made by each person within the parameters of those rules. The choice of moves has always and will always be up to the individual player. So let me break this down for y'all. What this means for us is we have to get intentional. You know, I'm always saying get intentional. You got to be intentional and decide. Talk about deciding. He said, and then decide whether the process for achieving them is worth the effort. So you have to determine, same thing as decide, career and lifestyle objectives. Basically, you got to decide what you want, girl, okay? And then you got to go after it. But you got to understand, you're going to deal with some shit to get there. But guess what? What I just read, you will get there. You will absolutely get there. It ain't going to be easy, but you're going to get there. Now, after this short break, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you what the most important thing that Pastor Coleman broke down in the book of Empowering Yourself when we get back. Hey guys, Felicia here. Real quick. So, you know how we're talking about getting paid and promoted, and I'm breaking down, you know, the P.I.E model for career success and all the things you need to do to, like, you know, elevate your career, get promoted, get paid. Well, if you are a Patreon member and you become a member before the end of March, in April, I'm creating some exclusive live content and sessions for you. There, I'm going to deep dive into all the things that you can do and why you should do them in order to increase your exposure. And I'm going to talk about so much more as it relates to your image, how you game plan for performance, how you do the least and gain the most to get paid and promoted. I'm going to break all these things down in a live and interactive way. I want you to join me, and this will be exclusively for Patreon members. I got a lot for y'all, especially the people who've been riding with me since day one. So go sign up for Patreon. The link is in the show notes. All right, now back to the show. All right, guys, you know what time it is. It is time for the most important thing. All right, one of the first things Mr. Coleman explains about exposure, he says on page 58, where this chapter begins, actually. Most of all, exposure introduces one of the most powerful facts in the game of life, that you can't do it alone. The it in this case is everything outside of our internal thought processes. It covers all of the areas and events where we must have help. Think about the raise you want. Can you give yourself a raise? Nah, girl. Of course not. How about the promotion you seek? Can you make that decision on your own? Sometimes we wish we could, but the reality is this: we always need other people to help accomplish any goal we want to obtain. Still not convinced? Have you ever made a sale without a person having to decide if they want to buy from you? Or joined a group or club without someone in the group extending an invitation? More than likely, the answer to both of these questions is a resounding no. It is exposure that brings us face to face with the fact that this is a people game. Our ability to become visible in a positive way and influence others who can help us reach our goals is one of the keys to this game. I brought that full circle. Y'all like that? Y'all like that? Yeah, I thought so. That concludes our verse and sermon for today. At the end of the day, guys, listen, we need each other. We have to help each other. You have to grow your mindset out of just looking out for yourself. And one of the keys to getting exposure is being focused on delivering value to others in a way that they then see you. You want to let your light shine bright. You want to do dope ass shit, right? That's all a part of it. But the most important thing is you cannot do any of it alone. Now listen, if you need some help or advice about a specific situation, go to trillinba.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consultation with me to strategize and walk through your specific work situation. In addition, you can always email at ask@trillinba.com. I'm happy to either answer your question or connect you to the right person if I don't have the answer. Again, that's trillinba.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consult, and ask@trillinba.com to submit your question or concern. Until next time, guys, which should be next Sunday. Have a wonderful week. Do dope ass shit. Love on yourself hard. Relish in the fact that you are excellent, magic, dope, amazing, black, wonderful, everything. And don't let nobody tell you any different. Okay? And keep it trill. The Trill NBA Show is a Fair World Corp. LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Ryan Little. Keep it trill every day, y'all.